Welcome to another edition of the Hoop Scoop. I'm Jared Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Well, mighty Joe, Texas Tech's off to a 5-1 start. I think a pretty optimistic, positive start overall.
Yep.
They split in Brooklyn, and now they return home in kind of their non-conference sacrificial lamb kind of thing. They had some time off to work on some things, rest and all that, and now 7 p.m. Friday night at the USA, they host Northern Colorado. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know much about Northern Colorado.
Well, I don't know a whole lot, but what I do know is they're 5-2 right now.
Okay.
And they will be 6-2 when they come into this game because they're playing something called Northern New Mexico, I believe.
Wow, if you don't know about them, because you're listening, you love New Mexico.
Yeah. But I didn't know there was a Northern New Mexico. I had to look it up. It's in Espanola, which is north of Santa Fe, I believe it is.
Okay.
So, at any rate, they're not exactly Kentucky.
Right.
So I would expect them to be 6-2 coming into this game, and they will be the best team that Tech has faced in the USA up to this point,
all right.
which isn't saying much because those first 4 teams were absolute cupcakes. These guys will be a little bit better. They're a good offensive team.
Good.
They're averaging around 90 points a game. They shoot it very, very well. They like around 50% from the floor, pretty good from the three-point range. They've got guards who can really shoot it. A couple of them, a guy named Block and another one named Reynolds, who are both in the 16 to 18 points per game.
Okay.
And the problems that Texas Tech has had dealing with guards, at least one good guard is going to go off against Texas Tech the way it's been so far this season. So that's a concern. They got one good forward as well. Hawthorne's his name, 6'8" guy. I don't know, he goes for around 14 and 7 a game, something like that. However, the strength of that team is going to be their guards. I don't think they're going to have anybody. The big difference, they're not going to have anybody who can handle Chapman on the inside.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the case usually when you're playing a mid-major.
Right.
And you've got a powerhouse inside guy like a Chapman. They're just not going to have an answer for that. They may be able to compete with you at the guard position, but you got somebody like Chapman, that's going to be a problem for them. So, what's Northern Colorado going to do? Are they going to just single him up and say, okay, Chapman's going to get his 25 and 18 rebounds or whatever. We're just going to make sure that nobody else goes off on us.
Don't double him or anything.
Or are they going to start doubling and helping down and taking their chances with the shooters on the outside? So that's going to be the dilemma for Northern Colorado. For Texas Tech, it's going to be, again, it's beating the dead horse, I know, but stopping dribble penetration, containing the guards along the perimeter. That's what it's going to come down to, I think.
I think that's going to be a common theme for the whole season, almost no matter who they play, but on both ends of the court. And it's compelling to me. If you're a basketball fan, it's compelling to see the chess match that will go on all year. Speaking of that, I've been meaning to ask you a couple of times about some rotation strategy from McCasland that I found interesting that I actually like. It's just not what I necessarily thought coming into the season. The idea of Toppin and Federico not really playing at the same time, kind of, JT being the starter and Federico coming off the bench and obviously providing something completely different, but it's still working. And then also Elijah Hawkins and Christian Anderson playing a lot at the same time. I feel like that really increases your speed and skill, speed on both ends of the court, but then your skill offensively in terms of, getting guys open looks, ball handling, that just being quicker and faster. What are your thoughts on those two kind of rotation strategies?
Yeah, with regard to the two bigs, it was after Pine Bluff game, I think, that McCasland said he's looking to, or it may have been a press conference midweek. I forget what the event was.
Recently, he said.
He said, I'm looking to find ways to get those two on the court at the same time. Which hadn't happened yet.
No.
He hasn't found the way, I guess. Yeah. But that's something that you may see moving forward. At this point, it really hasn't been necessary because with either one of those guys inside, you've been able to do the job. Tech's been good on the glass all year, plus 9 and rebounding margin, 8, 9, something like that. So they haven't really needed both bigs at the same time yet.
Yeah.
You get into the Big 12, that may be different. So I would expect maybe the final 2 games before Big 12 play starts, you may see those two guys start to get some minutes together just to see how that's going to work, and so that you can have that ready for Big 12 play. We'll see.
Yeah.
As for the 2 point guards, I actually asked before the season started, based upon the scrimmages that you had, did you play those two together? Anderson and Hawkins. He said, "Yeah." His eyes lit up. Yeah. I'm glad you asked that question, because he said, "Yeah, looking at that, those two guys playing together, we got some really good numbers."
Yeah.
With those two guys on the court at the same time, so you have seen that translate into actual games, and that's going to be an important part of this team moving forward. Who's to say that they may not both start at some point?
Yeah.
I'm not sure with the way Kerwin Walton is playing right now.
Yeah, that was my next question too.
He's going to stay in the lineup too much longer. Basically, he's a shooter. You can bring in, I think, ideally coming off the bench, you need somebody to hit a tray here and there. Maybe you're not shooting too well. You bring in Walton, and he can help you in that regard. But other than that, I don't think he's one of your top 5 players right now. You could go any number of different directions, and certainly you're starting Hawkins right now. You could start Anderson as well.
Yeah.
McMillan, Hawkins, Anderson.
That's lethal.
Three very quick, fast guards right there who can shoot it and distribute it as well. So something to keep an eye on moving forward.
Absolutely. I feel like a lot of these roles are starting to really be crystallized. Kevin Overton is, athletic wing 3-and-D kind of guy. Maybe perhaps a defensive stopper. Chance McMillan, great. Just a really smooth offensive player, all around really good player. Darion Williams, JT Top, you know what you have there. Same thing with Elijah Hawkins and Christian Anderson. You're starting to see, where does Kerwin Walton, anyway, Federico, we already mentioned, rim protector and size, but Kerwin Walton and then Devin Cambridge, like their roles, I think, and how they play and how well their roles are defined, and that they understand it and they perform those roles, I think could be critical to just how far Texas Tech goes, even though it's not, one, like you said, not one of your top 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah, and I think that's the natural position for Walton, is that designated shooter.
Yeah,
probably coming off the bench eventually. It's just a question of, is he good with that? Is he okay? Yeah. Is he willing to accept that sort of a role? You hope he is. You don't want to disturb team chemistry or anything. That's very, very important. So that's the issue there. With Cambridge, he's just going to get better and better. He's still coming off that injury, a very severe knee injury. He's not yet where he's going to be. He didn't do much against St. Joe's. I thought he played a lot better against Syracuse. What's his role going to be? He's a good rebounder at 6'6". I think he can be a very good defender as well. He can give you just a little bit of everything. He's kind of a general all-around player, can score a little bit. Is not great in the floor game right now, but that's not a huge issue because everybody else is so good at distributing the ball and not turning the ball over. Yeah. So not a big problem there. I think he's just sort of a kind of a utility player, jack of all trades. You can just give you a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
All right. Well, like I said, 7 p.m. Friday night, Texas Tech returns to the USA against what sounds like a pretty good, at least offensively, team in Northern Colorado. So that'll be interesting to see. My Joe, great stuff from you as always.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching, and until next time.